All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, we're getting to the point of the 2022 Major League Baseball season where we can see who the contenders are as well as the pretenders for this campaign. And even with the expanded postseason, you can see what teams are about to wave the white towel. Now, for the Arizona Diamondbacks, they are currently 31 and 35, which is good enough for fourth place in the National League West, as they are 10 games behind the first place San Diego Padres, while they are also 6 games behind the Atlanta Braves for the final wild card spot in the NL. Now, let's face facts. The Diamondbacks' chances of winning the NL West this year are very slim, as they're going to have their hands full with the 3 California teams in this division, while there are going to be too many teams for them to leapfrog in order to get that final wild card spot in the National League as well. So, with that said, in my opinion, Arizona should be preparing to wave the white towel soon. And if Arizona is really ready to call it quits in regards to competing for this year, or rather making a postseason push, is it time for them to begin shopping starting pitcher Madison Bumgarner? Now, the Diamondbacks signed Bumgarner in free agency to a 5-year deal for $85 million following the 2019 season. But Bumgarner has never come close to being the pitcher that he was with the San Francisco Giants from 2010 to 2019, when he helped the franchise win 3 World Series championships in 4 postseason appearances. Now, in 2+ seasons in the desert so far for Bumgarner, he's only 10 and 20 with a 4.67 earned run average. However, Bumgarner has pitched better this season, even though that his record is not indicative of it. Bumgarner is 2-6 so far this season in 14 starts, and he's not the big strikeout pitcher like he was once upon a time in his career, as it's more about pitching to contact at this point. But the thing is, if Arizona is going to become serious about moving Bumgarner, he is owed the remainder of his 23 million on this year's contract, while he is owed a combined 37 million over the next 2 years. With that said, would there be a team willing to take on Bumgarner's contract? And if naturally you think about the big market clubs, would a team like the Los Angeles Dodgers, maybe the New York Mets, or just Houston Astros, would these teams be willing to go out there and take on Bumgarner's contract? And also, would Bumgarner be willing to, play for those teams? A lot of things have to be factored in. I'm just throwing, those teams' names out there. Obviously, nothing is coming close to being solidified at this point, but nonetheless, there will have to be a lot of things to be taken into consideration with Bumgarner. He's no longer a number one, so he'd have to be a number two, maybe a number three guy in your rotation. Obviously, there's always a need for pitching, especially from teams that are looking to make a postseason push. So you have to factor that in as well. On the flip side, you also need to have a strong defensive team around Bumgarner, being that he is not the power pitcher that he was earlier in his career. He will be 33 come August. But with that said, would a change of address, provide a spark for a player such as Bumgarner? We've seen it before in the past where guys are simply going through the motion with a team. They get traded and they once again get rejuvenated as far as their careers go. Could a trade put a guy like Bumgarner in this category? Possibly. We simply don't know. Make no mistake about it. You're going to need a strong defensive team around him, and then on top of that, you're going to need a team that's going to be willing to take on a good portion of his contract. We'll have to wait and see how serious that Arizona is as far as moving Bumgarner, the likelihood of him being dealt, I think it comes down to that. Honestly, at this point, if I'm Arizona, I would look to move him, even if it's something where you simply got another team to take Bumgarner's contract off of your hands. So be it. You're not going anywhere with Madison Bumgarner, and again, the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants are just too strong for the Arizona Diamondbacks to overcome in this division. You know, the Dodgers are always going to leave no stone unturned in regards to making a postseason push. There is a possibility that they could, use another arm on their team, being that, with the Walker Bueller injury. I mentioned the New York Mets. Conventional wisdom would say, the Mets would be willing to take on his deal, or would be able to take on his deal. But at the same token, would the Mets want another 30 plus pitcher on their hands with injury history? And I say that because the Mets are already dealing with Jacob DeGrom and Max Scherzer. They've also have some other arms in there that there are question marks about, so we'll have to wait and see. So a lot could happen between now and the trade deadline. Obviously, the closer that we get to the trade deadline later on this summer, in several weeks, we're gonna see a lot of the pieces of the puzzle come together. What's the likelihood of Bumgarner being traded? I'm not saying it's strong, but I'm not going to say it's weak either. But I do feel that there is a possibility. Me, you, just like all the other baseball fans out there, we simply have to play the waiting game. But if I were in charge of the Diamondbacks front office, obviously I'm not, I definitely would be looking to shop them and see what I could get back in return. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you are on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.